And it is Friday, July 17, 2026 at 7:30 a.m. Meeting number 5347. Will the clerk please call roll?
Mayor Daniel Hall.
Here.
Commissioner Jeff Reiert.
Here.
Commissioner Chuck Taylor.
Here.
Commissioner Rick Sowers.
Here.
Commissioner Michael Burns.
Here.
At this time, under new business, we are going to hear the approval of the notice of revenue neutral rate intent to exceed the RNR report by Finance Director Nicole May.
Mayor and Commissioners, for approval today is the notice of intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate. The county clerk must be notified by July 20th if the municipality intends to exceed the revenue neutral rate. In March of 2021, the legislature approved Senate Bill 13 requiring any taxing subdivision that intends to exceed their revenue neutral rate to give additional notice. The county clerk must be notified, and the county clerk is responsible for sending out notification to all of the residents within the taxing district. The revenue neutral rate for the city for 2027 budget is 34.984 mils. The total mill levy for the 2026 budget was 35.611 mils. The anticipated mill levy needed for the 2027 budget is 35.667 mils. And the city may adopt a budget with a mill levy less than this anticipated mill levy, but the final budget cannot exceed this mill levy.
There's a few items I want to point out, in regards to that 35.667 that we're looking at the commission to approve for today. Typically, we start out with a much higher published rate, and then when it is finally determined by the county appraiser or county clerk, it is significantly lower. For an example, for fiscal year 2026, we approved a 35.708 mil budget. It ended up being the final rate of 35.611. For this year, we're looking at 35.667. There's a couple items that we need to keep in mind when we're looking at that. One is it is going to ultimately be lower just naturally, but we also have Summerlawn South is coming off the tax, is coming off RHID.
Right.
And so that will naturally even lower the mill levy even lower with that coming back on. But when these were initially determined by the county clerk, that wasn't in consideration with our overall assessed valuation. So that will bring down that mill levy even more. The difference really that we're looking at as we're presenting right now over 2026 for 2027 is only, even with the 35.667 published mill levy, or at least shown and committed to at this point in the budget process, it's only $160,000 increase over 2026's total property tax budget. And that's across all entities. That includes library, the city, debt service, general fund, capital improvement fund. To just give you an example of some of our expenses, looking at police and fire for next year, police and fire is going to be about $700,000 more than what we anticipated. The expenses are going to be about $700,000 more than what we anticipate for the end of fiscal year 2026. And that's still an increase of about $372,000 over 2025's actual numbers. With those, the fire department is full with staffing, which we have not been full for a long time. So we need to make sure that our budget reflects being fully staffed. With the police department, it does show a $421,000 over last year's, or over 2026's anticipated cost. But we still, I believe they have 7 positions that are currently open. And this is still not, this allows them to hire up to 4 out of the 7 in this budget. And we don't anticipate them to fill those final 3 positions, so we're not even putting them in there in the budget. Otherwise, our budget would have to be $300,000 to $400,000 even higher than what we're even showing on here. So those are a couple items I want to point out. Admin's budget, we've decided to not fill 2 positions in the administration department for next year. Melissa and I, Colin, and HR, we feel that we can handle it for the short term. And we're looking at not filling the management analyst position and also the community service officer, I believe is what, recruiter position, which kind of helped out HR. So we're going to forgo those 2 positions for next year at least. Overall, everyone's pretty much status quo, minus a little bit of cost of living, a little bit of merit increase, but there's no significant increases in expenses from anyone at any department, as you can see in our budget. We're pretty darn tight right now, and anticipate, like I said, it does show our mill levy at 35.667, which is higher than the final rate for 2026, but at the end of the day, it's going to end up being lower than what it was for 2026. Hopefully, it's as close as possible to that, because I think we need to at least keep the mill levy flat as best we can. But I think we're going to be pretty close, honestly, probably to that R&R rate by the time we're done, seeing Summerlawn come on board, and we do get our final values. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions the commission may have in regards to what's being presented today.
The only question that I might have, Nick, is has staff kind of considered, I know we're going to have a new governor come up next year, and if they decide to do away with property tax, what is kind of your guys' game plan as far as how do we generate more revenue if we lose all our property tax? Because basically our property tax pays for police and fire now, and we're short, what, $3 million if you figure that way.
That's correct. And so what we do is we'd probably end up going to more of a fee-based services. We've looked at basically what you do for police and fire services. A lot of people don't understand. It's about $10 million budget for those 2 alone. Our total property tax revenue across all entities, which includes, like I said, debt service obligations, capital improvement, general fund, and the library, and it's about $8 million, a little over $8 million for that. And so the police and fire themselves are not even covered with property tax revenues. They're offset through fines, fees, also sales tax helps offset a substantial portion of our revenues. So what we'd end up doing is we'd probably end up having to figure out how to close that gap on $3 million. It'd probably come in part by looking at franchise fee increases potentially for on your utility bills, such as your gas and electric bill for your individuals. It may end up coming in the form of basically a police and fire service fee. What we would do is basically we would have to determine what that gap is, basically. So if it's $3 million, we kind of already did some rough math on that. For $3 million, if you were to apply it citywide, and the most fair way as of right now to look at is how much square feet do you own in the city of Dodge City? And so if you have, let's say, a 10,000 square foot parcel and you need $3 million, it's about 41 million square feet of real estate in Dodge City. So what you do then at that point is you'd basically take that 41 million or 410 million, I can't remember what it was, I think it's 41 million square feet. You would take that and you would divide that across the whole property or the entire city, and then whatever you owned, we would probably put like a 3 cents or 10 cents fee per square foot on your property, and we would put that on your utility bill to basically cover that expense. So if you have a small property, you're probably still going to be paying probably in the range of $100 to $200 a month is probably what your fire and police fee will be on a small parcel. But if you're a business owner, such as like a bank or someone who has 40 to 50,000 square foot of real estate, your bill is going to be $1,000 to $1,500 a month for police and fire fees. And then you think about these, large ones like National Beef or Cargill, Noram, that have, 400 to 500,000 square feet of real estate, you're talking a pretty significant amount of money that's going to have to be generated.
Well, and I know it's a hypothetical, but I just
Right.
wanted to kind of plant that seed that this possibility could happen, so.
Right, yeah, if it does go away, we'll figure it out. That's the thing. I mean, communities still have to have money to run and operate. And, just to give the public and the commission a little bit of information, the $160,000 increase, it's 0.7%. We're not even keeping up with inflation, not even remotely coming close to what the inflation rate is on our budget. Yes, it shows in our grand total of the general fund, $24,473,000. But the thing is, we have to budget for a cash carryover every year because the state of Kansas requires you to budget to zero. They do not want you to carry any money over at any time. They want you to budget every last penny. And so what we have to do is we have to put fluff in there. I hate saying that, but we have to have fluff in our budget in regards to like an emergency reserve. So if something were to happen, we do have extra funds and the ability to spend those extra money. But we use that 1.7 million plus over estimating what some of our positions are going to be filled and not going to be filled, because we need to have that $2 million plus to be able to jumpstart our budget for the following year. And so it's something that people don't realize is, yes, it may seem like it's increasing a ton, but in reality, if you look at what 25's total budget was, and actual expenditures were $21,660,000. In 2026, we estimate that to be $21,840,000. And in 27, we estimate that to be just about 22 million by the time we're done. So once you start taking out the emergency reserve, you take out those filled positions, so you have a cash carryover balance for the start of the following year. And so we're increasing our overall expenditures in the general fund less than 1% every year, typically. And we've been able to lower the mill levy every year for the last, I believe that we're in year 8 or 9, I believe is what we're in. Can't remember exactly, but it's been several years. We haven't raised it in a long time.
This is the same song and dance we go through. I mean, it's good campaign rhetoric, right? To run around and say my property taxes and your property taxes are too high. I guess the conversation a long time ago has got to be a balanced stool between income taxes, property taxes, and sales tax. And so I think we've hit a good balance overall here as well as we can do. If it goes away, well, then it's either we can't assess income tax, but it's sales tax and user fees, which is frankly another form of tax.
Any other questions or?
I guess I know we've had some appointments sent out. I wanted to get a sense of like, what is our path forward here in regards to the 2027 budget leading up to what feels like a final adoption date towards the end of September?
So as the calendar I've kind of penciled out now, we would approve the budget at the September 7th meeting. So we will plan to have work sessions prior to both of the meetings in August. And I will get you more detail in a draft. The draft that you guys have in front of you today is only the tax levy funds, but I will get you drafts of the entire budget, hopefully by middle of the week next week.
And is the notification date to the county clerk always July 20th, or does it change based on how the calendar falls?
It's July 20th. And there is a little bit of flexibility with, we would have to hold the revenue neutral rate hearing on September 7th because that's what will be published in the notices to everyone. The final date that we can approve the actual budget is September 20th. So there's a little bit of flexibility built in there.
Yeah, so the important date is that September 7th date to allow folks to come and because that is what's mailed out to everyone in their tax statement when they do get it.
Yes, and that'll be, the September 7th will be the date that there will be a public hearing and will allow public comment.
Anything else? Any action on this item?
I'm gonna make a motion, we approve the notice of revenue, intent to exceed revenue neutral rate.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. This time, commission have anything else they'd like to bring up?
I'm gonna make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion for adjournment and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. We're adjourned.